Oi, oi, everyone. How are you all doing? It's Monday, and I'll tell you what, it's a match fit for a Monday as well. It's an absolute snorefest, that first half, isn't it, everyone? But I hope everyone's all good anyway, We've made it through the weekend. Some better than others, hopefully. Mine weren't too fantastic. But there we go. We're treated to a nice, entertaining / not entertaining whatsoever England game. New manager, same sort of shit. But, I'm sure we'll get through it. DJB, how you doing, my friend? Good to
all
see
good,
you.
mate. All good. Yeah, big up Shane and big up Yes here. Nice to be on a Monday night. The weekend came and went. Obviously, a nice little break from the stresses of Arsenal. I didn't have to worry about that. So, which was nice because it's not been a very, how can I say, hasn't been a brilliant season. So it's nice to take a break from Arsenal. But watched the game the other night, England, impressed with a few performances, but it's hard to judge against teams like Albania and Latvia, really. And again, watching it live now and the game tonight, I think, nice free kick, well taken, but it's all early stages in Tuchel's career, put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yes, man. How you doing, my friend? I know you're not too big on the England games, but I'm sure you watch a lot of football. You've got it on. We'll come to football in a second, but how you doing anyway, in general, brother? Good to have you on.
I'm all right. Yeah, I like watching England in terms of I like seeing the Premier League players that we see in the Premier League playing for their club for their country. And obviously, it's easy to watch kids on ITV and stuff, isn't it? So you can get to watch a bit of football. But kind of disappointed because Holland went out. But then again, these things happen.
Yeah.
Can't even get a win for my country. You know what I mean? But it is what it is.
Big up, man. Cheers for coming on as well. And Shane, I'm sure you couldn't give an absolute toss about England.
No. You know what? My missus is watching it downstairs. She'd be looking out for Skelly and Rice and the likes. But no, even with Ireland, I'm not pushed. International football for me has taken a dive in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I used to, I think it might sort of line of work. I do ghostwrite for people, and a lot of them are sort of football books for teenagers or football books for young adults and stuff like that. So I'd have to do research, and when I'd be researching the older World Cups, and they were just so much better. I used to plow DVDs out of it with the '86 World Cup and things like that. And the first World Cup I remember is the 1990 one. You know what I mean? It just seemed more romantic or something. International football. I think club football's overtaken it now, and the Champions League would be bigger than anything else. But look, I've watched the World Cup and stuff. I'd get into it, but international football's never. Well, I say that and I'm wearing a bloody international jersey, but no, I wouldn't be overly pushed watching it.
What kit is that? Is that the Holland?
It's the '88 Holland kit.
Yeah, I was gonna say orange. I was like, that must be orange. Because for me,
the greatest international kit ever, man.
For a second, I thought it was a goalkeeping kit. Because they make him a weird color. I was like, can it be the Holland kit? Was that like a goalkeeping kit?
I thought it was. I'm glad you brought it up, because when I was looking at it, I was like, I'm sure that's a Dutch kit there,
Yeah. Van Basten volley against USSR. That's the
Van Basten.
Man.
What a team them Dutch team.
You don't make players like that no more either, do you?
No. Van Basten was different gravy altogether.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was, unfortunately, injuries got him.
From 28 onwards.
He was top draw. He was really.
I think he had 3 Ballon d'Ors already, didn't he? At 28 when he picked up those injuries.
Really?
Yeah. Unbelievable player.
They're players that can play in any generation as well.
Oh,
you can have loads of world-class players now and stick them in them teams. And they ain't making a dent in them sides, are they? Whereas you put the likes of that now in any generation, and they're one of the best players on the planet. Not even just world-class, but, that elite world-class where you think you're just unbelievable.
Imagine him now. Imagine him now with those defenders that can't kick him or anything. Like.
Millions.
He'd shred them.
Holland had the great Johan Cruyff. I mean, the thing that gets me now, Aaron, nowadays is that we tend to label players world class, and it runs off the back of the tongue like pouring tap water. But to me, world class is completely different to what people class as world class of today. World class to me are players that actually leave you talking for days afterwards, like, has he done that? Has he done? Wow. And they do it week in, week out, week in, week out. You know, I mean, there's 5 players you can name on the international front in my book that are world class, that none of the players in Arsenal, Liverpool haven't got it. You know, Cruyff, Zidane, you know, players
Maradona.
like, I mean, Maradona.
Yeah, unbelievable players.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible. Absolutely world-class players, you know.
There's such a shortage of that now, though, isn't there? I mean,
Yeah.
you sort of look at especially as far as going forward's concerned. I mean, I've said this on my show plenty of times here. When you just look at the strikers, just in 1998, 1999 alone, Arsenal and Manchester United had better strikers than the rest of the world have right now. I mean, you look at it and you think Andy Cole, Dwight York, and then you go Sheringham, Solskjaer, Nicholas Anelka, Dennis Bergkamp, Ian Wright, and then you sit there and you just think, all right, that's what 7, 8 players there I just named. Now go and do that now, and you're sitting there and you think you'd stop at 5.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
Yeah,
would, and that's across the whole board. That's madness.
And when you move into Europe, then in the 90s, you had Baggio and you had George Weah and Romario and Stoichkov and Hadji and all these absolute world-class players. Hadji was different class.
Phenomenal players, mate. Phenomenal players. And, obviously I weren't around to see them, but, like I've done enough about, checking back in history and watching back to know the players and know what impact they left on there. And when you sort of see them play, you're sitting just like, wow. And I think that was sort of the point DJ was alluding to, is, there's not really that many players now where you sit there and your jaw drops and you just go, wow. I mean, what a player, The amount of times I've gone to the Emirates, I haven't seen it in years. Maybe the last time I see it was maybe when Alexis Sanchez was there. That first or second season of Ozil, maybe, when you sit there and you're just like, what a player, You've sat down and you've seen a proper player here. I haven't really seen that, especially at Arsenal, in a long time. In a long time. I mean, I've seen it at the Emirates plenty of times, but sadly, it was the Manchester United 09 away team. Do you know what I mean? It was their team, when you're looking at the Tevez's and the Berbatovs and the Ronaldos and that, and of course, the Wayne Rooney's, sadly, I've seen some top players. They just weren't wearing bloody red that day.
The last time I remember at Chelsea was Eden Hazard.
Yeah, he was
the
class.
last one that was.
He was class, yeah. Hazard.
Paul Mason talks a lot of bollocks, but he did say about world class. He said when he talked about Henry being the best, he said it always to him looked like an adult playing with like an under 12s. Like to me, that's world class when they look a different level to the players. When like Maradona, you look back at the old footage of him, like Napoli were relegation battlers when he came and he won a league with them. Single-handedly.
Was that when he went into the camera and just like, like that? I mean,
that was later. Now that was '94. That was he was sort of past the things. He left Napoli after World Cup '90 because
him, I think, there, didn't he?
Yeah. The Italian crowd booed the Argentinian national anthem in the semis. The Napoli crowd booed the Argentinian national anthem in the World Cup, and he was done with them then. But the church and all dedicated to him in Napoli. The stadium's named after him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the only players I can think of is you make a good point. I mean, because these are the sort of players that didn't only do it for their club week in and week out. They've done it internationally week in and week out. They would do something brilliant for their country as well. I mean, especially Maradona, he'd turn up for
unbelievable.
Yeah, he was an incredible player, absolutely incredible.
I think it's as well as what I'll say about you boys will know better than me. I bet you could put Maradona in any team, in any league, in any whatever, and it'd still be 100%. Unbelievable. Whereas a lot of players need to have class around them, and obviously,
he was,
isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But
he
could probably do that job on his own. You know what I mean? At any team, you could put him in League One and it'd be unbelievable.
Quick question.
Put him at, go on, Yas.
Yeah. Would that be right to say that probably the only player that would do that right now, as in what we got right now, would be like a Lamine Yamal? That kind of wows you once in a while. Was that
at the moment?
I'm saying from the pool we got right now, like no.
Yeah, no. I mean, he'd still be a good bit below him, though. He'd still be a good bit below him, but he is that. Maradona was one of those go back. He could, like the way Odegaard does, go back and take it off a defender, except he'd make something happen. He'd just go, give me the fucking ball, and he'd be gone, and he'd assist, he'd score,
So
he was just, if you look at even the Ballon d'Or list from, I think, 2024, the 50 of them, there's nothing even close to like number 20 or number 30 on the list. There's all these players that you forget were so good. And now it's just sort of gone, to me, they've all been overly coached. All the players are too coached, and there's none of that standout, give me the ball, the tactics are all the same. And, you look at even Southampton with Letitia, every manager just said, when you get the ball, just give it to Letitia. Like, you don't really see that anymore, you know what I mean? Give him the ball, whatever he decides to do, you go with it. Like, but, the Mal is a player. He's a player.
Yeah, those players don't really work anymore.
No.
Like, those players where you look at them and you don't know what their position is. Is he a striker? Is he a 10? It might be a winger. Nowadays it's like they don't seem to have a place in football. So you almost feel like they fade away. Okay, if you can't play up front, or he's not a 10, so he can't really do what he wants up front. There has to be a certain way they play. And then a lot of the times you see that some of the players that are like that, they don't really get bought. Like a Cherky who's available right now. But everyone's looking, saying, "Ooh, attitude issues," or he might not be tracking back, or this and that. And those usually are the players that the attitude sometimes kind of trickles down to their football. So that's just the way they are, the way they play. They play with a bit of arrogance, and that's what kind of gets them to play to that level that we kind of want to see. But now you have to be a good boy to play.
Well, we've seen it a lot. I can't think what I always forget what his name is. There was a Manchester United young lad who I remember Ferguson saying, he'd have gone straight to the top. I really can't. He's a mixed race young lad, if it helps for the description wise.
Yeah,
English.
I think I know who you're talking about.
What his name is. It's gone straight out my head. But Ferguson said, he would have been an unbelievable talent. First class. But his attitude, for him was just, to use the word, it was toxic. Do you know what I mean? He had no interest in putting any effort in or anything like that.
Ravel Morrison you're talking about, is it?
Pardon?
Ravel Morrison.
Exactly him. Exactly him. Ravel Morrison. You sit there and you just think, you've got the world at your feet here, like a Gaza-esque sort of player. And, sometimes that attitude to that extent, obviously, just pissed it straight up the wall. But that can't be applied, and I think you're right. It's really, really, really frustrating, sort of, when you hear about this attitude, because especially when you put attitude with Mikel Arteta, you more are sort of saying, he doesn't really like anyone saying no. It's not really an attitude problem, is it? When you're talking about it with Mikel Arteta, he just wants yes men. Look how quickly you binned off Guendouzi. Look how quickly, you could have had Ivan Toney here, and I reckon we'd have probably either won a league right now or been significantly closer to winning some form of title. We'd have had Ivan Toney over the last 18 months. But, even if he had been offered to us at a fantastic price, that Arteta was never going to have someone like that. Why? Do you know what I mean? He fills your English quota. He's a striker, and God knows you need one. He's good on the ball. He knows where the net is. But it's not Arteta's man. And that's just one example of so many where Mikel Arteta, and we'll obviously get into Mikel Arteta a little bit more, but where he holds us back over his narcissistic, arrogant, selfish ways. It's all for him and at the detriment of Arsenal Football Club. I'm just going to come to the chat quickly. Big up as well, chat. Don't forget, like and sub to all these channels. The links should be in the title. Big up Rashid, brother. How you doing? As well, big up Miss Potts. How are you doing, my dear? Cheers for popping over. Aces as well. Always an absolute pleasure. She's giving Shane that. How you doing? Dad, of course. How you doing? Forgive me for being late. You're all good, my friend. Yeah. Let me guess. Arsenal still led by indeed they are, sadly. Eros, big up, brother. It's good for you to be here. Hendo, big up as well, mate. Barca Reacts, how you doing, young man? Always a pleasure. Hope you're doing well, mate. You've got Lawrence in the building. How you doing? Yeah, leading 1-0. Yeah, we'll come straight sort of to that next, mate, as it goes. Dad, again, what you're saying, and the bollocks the Banners doubters, England will win. Why? Because imperialism and 2 world war. Yeah, well, we're not going to get too much into that, unfortunately, Dad. Not on here anyway. What we doing? I was in Clinton. Yeah, they were class, man. Yeah, sorry, Aaron, watching England again as opposed to watching your pod. I know. Yeah, just don't fall asleep this time. Yeah, don't fall asleep this time. He was catching them Z's last time he was on, wasn't he? You know what I mean, with the old eyes shut and all of that. And what we're saying, yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've done a little call in on Friday, man, and I was like, going around the panel and all of that. Lawrence is on. I was
man,
like,
yeah, I was busy. I was busy looking after things Friday. My friend.
Yeah, no, you all got. But yeah, it was Lawrence. I was like, anyway, Lawrence, what do you reckon? He's catching them Zeds over in Los Angeles, wouldn't you, bud? Yeah, he nodded off. But yeah, big up, man. I know. Yeah, I didn't realise I was that boring to listen to. Fucking hell, do you know what I mean? Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. But yeah, look, I want to come to England, and I mean, look, obviously that first half was just it is what it is, and I wanted to talk about some of the lineups. Obviously, we know it because it's deep into the second half. But I wanted to sort of say about this. But look at this lineup, yeah. So I'm going to get it up on the stage, and do you know what I mean? It got me thinking about Arsenal and obviously the positions that we need and that. And I'm thinking that front three, I didn't want him, but that whole front three or front four, rather, if you include Kane in that mid three, that would have walked into Arsenal at the minute, wouldn't it? And this ain't even really England's best. Say that midfield three of Bowen, Rodgers, and Rashford. That's not even their best three, and it would walk into Arsenal, wouldn't it, DJB?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously a fully fit Saka, you toss a coin between Bowen and Saka. Probably Saka obviously has to get in the team. Rodgers is, to me, the sort of player Arsenal need. I think we haven't really had an aggressive, attacking central midfield player since the likes of Wiltshire and Alexis and people like that. I think we've really missed that kind of attacking midfield player that runs beyond the back line because we struggle with a low block. We don't get players in and beyond the back line, breaking from deep. And Rodgers is the sort of player that can do that. And that's what I think Arsenal do need to go out and sign. The trouble is Arteta don't like them sort of players. He likes players just sitting, receiving the ball, knocking it square, knocking it out wide, getting the crosses in, getting the wide men to attack the fullback. So, it ain't going to suit the way Arteta plays. But Rodgers would be someone ideal. Rashford, I always believed that there was a player there. I think he just got stagnant. I think he just went stale at Man United. He obviously didn't like the things that were going on at Man United with the change of managers, etc., etc. And I, for one, was probably one of the few Arsenal fans that probably would have said, take him till the end of the season, see how it goes, because the injuries we've had and the way Martinelli's fallen off the cliff, I, for one, probably would have given him a go at Arsenal. I'm not saying sign him, but I'd have definitely taken him on loan till the end of the season. But yeah, and as Kane, to me, go and pay the buyout clause for Kane. Bring him to the club. Bring him to the club because one thing we need next summer is an established, up and running centre forward. We can't afford to go into next season with another project buy, with someone that's just going to turn up, have time to settle in. We're not going to have that time. We need someone that is up and running, established, ready to bang the goals in. And I think getting Kane into the club, and if it's 50, 60 million buyout clause, I think you'll get your money back very, very quickly. Shirt sales alone with Kane on the back to piss off the Spurs fans will bring you in 60 million, I would have thought. Do you know what I mean? Just merchandise alone, and we all love a merchant. They all love the merch, don't they? Arsenal,
absolutely love it.
You know what I mean? Can you imagine Harry Kane at Arsenal and fans walking around with Kane on the back? I mean, you thought the West Ham fans were up with the Rice on the back. Imagine that walking around North London. So shirt sales alone would bring you in his fee.
But everyone would get one, wouldn't they? Everyone would.
He's the sort of player you're going to need. I mean, but he's looking at Sesko and people like that. But to me, he's a project. To me, he hasn't shown enough to me to be an Arsenal football player. But yeah, as for Bowen, what can you say? Be brilliant to have him in the squad. He can play on the right. He can play down the middle. He works hard. I think it's a no-brainer for me. So Kane, Rodgers, and Bowen, definitely. I would like to see at Arsenal, but it won't happen. But hey ho.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's madness, man. And you sit there and you sort of think to yourself, what Arsenal won't be going in for these players like that. We could could you imagine Arsenal's team next year lining up with Kane and like a Rodgers sort of behind him? Because Odegaard's not that geezer that's going to be creating you left,
No.
right, and centre. He just ain't. As much as people are giddy, he's done it that one season in the 3-4 that he's been at Arsenal. Including that time he was on loan as well. He hardly pulled trees up then. Do you know what I mean? We signed him for 30 million and we'd probably sell him for more than that. So on that alone, maybe for profit, you know what I mean? But how much of that sunk into the for the 240 grand a week we sort of giving him? What I'm trying to allude to is more so having that Kane and Rodgers in there, I think totally transforms Arsenal. And if Arsenal win there next season with a Bowen there fighting with Saka, and I know it's not going to happen, but a Rodgers starting up there in that 10 with Kane just in front of him, Arsenal turn into a different prospect, and that's why sort of Arsenal, they have to make sure that they sign right, and I'm sure we'll get more into it. I'll bring Yasser in on his opinions of it, but Sesko not the one for me. Go out there and just say to the world, if Berta, this is what I keep saying, if Berta's got something about him, go in there and say, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go in there. I like the look of this. 65 million? I think he's available for Kane. I'll activate it. Just show that you've got this intent. Just that alone, I think, could win him over to Arsenal fans, whether Kane signed or not, because it'd be down to him. You know what I mean? If Bert came in next one and goes, right, yeah, we've activated the release clause for Kane. Job done. There you go. Everyone's going to go, yeah, this geezer means business. But it probably won't. What's your sort of take on this this sort of Yash? Do you know what I mean? With this sort of lineup, I know you watch Arsenal regularly, or sort of few bits of that. Do you think Rodgers would be a good fit for Arsenal?
Yeah, Rod's really good. I know that he's an 8
Really
and not
good.
necessarily a 10, but he can play there as well, which is a good thing. And even if you think, you want to put him in the 10 and move Odegaard in the 8, which is what a lot of people
Yeah.
usually say, that's also possible, instead of playing like a Declan Rice in it, even though I think he's more of a 6. The problem is he's not. Sometimes he plays good on his own, like a lone 6, but a lot of the times it just feels like he needs to have someone next to him, which is when you've seen him play with Partey, and even in the Euros, you'd had to see him play with like a Kobe Mainoo or someone else. Do you remember? That's when we see the better of Declan Rice. On his own, he doesn't seem to be working, especially with the system that Arsenal plays. Because in West Ham, he always had space to run into, and that's how he always, had him darting forward, carrying the ball. Whereas now he can't do that as much, so it's more just passing the ball. Obviously, Bowen, I think Bowen could be, challenging Saka on that right wing. In whether he's available or not, I think he can also play on the left up front, which gives you a good variety. But the main thing, obviously, is the striker with Arsenal. And at this point, I think Arsenal needs an experienced striker. So I don't think you need another, like a test rabbit or whatever you want to end up getting and trying up front. I think Sesko's literally Havertz with pace. And every single German fan that I've spoken to, or someone that watches German football, Zay's a Bayern Munich fan, and I've spoken to someone else, they all kind of don't rate Sesko.
No.
You know what I mean? And also I've watched him a little bit because we were linked to him for a week in the summer, and then all the links went away. I just think he's just more of a running behind striker. And then I just feel like that's again something you don't necessarily need, because you don't always play on the counter. Do you get it? The teams you struggle against is mostly the people that sit back. So you want to get a striker that's able to perform in the situations that you find yourself in. You don't want to have a striker that when you start playing against a low block, he just doesn't know what he's doing. He can't beat them in the air or whatever the things are. He doesn't have the attributes to help you in that system, because then you just bought a striker that's useless again.
Yeah.
Do you get what
We
I'm
love
saying?
that.
So
We love that.
Yeah, and if you look at the front four in England, I think this is like a medium to low level, because remember, there's still much better players that haven't been selected or aren't actually playing. So you still have on the left wing a Grealish, a Sancho, a Gordon that can play on there. Palmer and Saka obviously out. They can occupy either the 10 or the right wing. You also have Foden when he's playing well. Obviously, hasn't really been playing well. So there's so much more options when it comes to that.
Do you know what,
front four.
Yas? Can I just jump in there as well? Because there's a player there that you said that scares me to death. And the reason I say that is because it's such a Mikel Arteta signing, and that player is Jack Grealish. I can see 100% Arsenal spending a lot of their transfer fees on signing Grealish. I just can see it. It's just tailor made.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Us giving Man City load of money, and we won't. He's not done well at all this season, really, for him. He's not worth a lot of money. He's on 300k a week. I could see Arsenal giving Man City 70 million for him easily, and 250 bags.
Aaron, just before you let Shane come in, I'll tell you another typical Arteta signing will be like a Darwin Núñez or something.
Oh,
yeah, he's been linked heavily to Arsenal.
That's the one I dread the most.
And that won't go away. That'll be a perfect Arteta signing, that will as well.
And before you go, Shane, sorry, I think when it comes to Grealish, he will have similar issues at Arsenal that he has at Thingy. He won't be given the freedom, and then he will be blamed again, even though that's just not the move for him, because he's more of a freedom player. You just give him the ball and he'll link up play and he'll float a little bit whenever it is. You give him that freedom, you'll see the best of him. And I think the wrong thing he can do is go to Arsenal. And I'm not knocking it. I still think there's a player there, and usually the players like Jack Grealish can fit in any system because they have the ability. And I think to him, when it comes to the City thing, I think he's got the treble, and then he's just thought he's finished. He's done what he wanted to do. That's kind of what it feels like.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah. So I think, and obviously I think because he might not be necessarily enjoying his foot, because at City it seems to be where he's only using like 20% of his ability. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Okay, you just do this and that, and then the rest you don't necessarily need to use. He just uses a part of his ability, and he does whatever he needs to do. It worked in the treble season. Remember, he had that period where he was either assisting, scoring, winning them games or whatever. And then he's just had either injuries or being found doing his thing outside or whatever it is he likes to do.
He likes the booze, doesn't he? He loves a bit of that.
Obviously, Jack Grealish is from Birmingham, isn't he?
He's a young player. Do you know what I mean? It's you can get that to a point. It's like, you know what I mean. It's not the 90s no more. You can't really come into training like that every single game and do a job like the old Tuesday club could. Do you know what I mean?
remember when he crashed all those cars not far from where I live, because remember he got caught driving and crashing the cars when he was drunk. I remember hearing about that. And I was like,
that's definitely no good.
But these are things that happen. But he's starting to get to that stage of his career. I think he's 27, if I'm not wrong, or 26, 27. He's now at that stage of his career where we're supposed to kind of see his prime. He's starting to get into his prime, and obviously it's a bit disappointing when you not see a player in his prime doing what we all seen him do. But I think personally, if he moves to Arsenal, it's literally because remember Pep, and these are all the similar systems that derive from the Pep system. So there will be players that will be limited, and I think if he comes down, or he doesn't track back, or he doesn't do X, Y, and Z, and then he will just be painted the same way. And because remember, you guys have used to be getting the City flops, or whatever you want to end up calling it, right? You've gotten the Zinchenko, Jesus.
Now we love a City one, and with Sterling, we got a Man City and a Chelsea one. We at the he's a super reject, isn't he, man? Do you know what I mean? He plays for both of them. You know what I mean? You can't write it, can you, man? You can't write it. But man, Shane, what you saying, bud? Would you take any of these boys from England? And as well, once you've sort of said that little bit, Jack Grealish and Darwin Núñez. Yeah, that worries the shit out of me too, mate.
Oh man, look, and I could see that Núñez is more than anyone. I mean, he is the guy's a shambles. And the thing is that with all my Liverpool mates, I spent the last 3 years bollocking them about him, how bad he is. You know what I mean? So if we go and get him, it'll just be I'll just get pelters. But no, he would be, and DJB said it perfectly there. He'd be an Arteta signing because he works hard. Yeah, and to him, you know, with a forward player, that's what comes first. But as for Morgan Rogers, I think that kid's unbelievable, man. He is unbelievable. He's, to me, I'm not saying he's as good as him or even ever will be, but to me, he's the closest England have come to Paul Gascoigne in my eyes. That type of player. He wants the ball all the time. He runs at the ball, and
Yeah.
And you see him, if he runs with the ball and loses it, his head doesn't go down. He gets up, he calls for the ball again, he runs it again, and he's just relentless, and he's a playground footballer, which again, if Arteta got him, he'd grind that out of him, because we can look at the Kanes and we can look at the Isaks and all these players and say, oh, what have we signed him? What have we signed? To me, it makes no difference who we sign, because Arteta will absolutely nullify them. He will nullify every single one of them. Grealish would be, but Grealish would be the same as what's happening at City. He'd be tracked back, just go down the wing, put it inside. As Yasser said, Grealish needs to be just let off the leash like he was at Villa. You go where you want, pick the ball up, do what you want with it, But Arteta would refuse to do it. Arteta could have Ronaldinho, he could have Messi, he could in their prime, any of these players, and he'd say, you stick to my system. When with a player that good, it should be right, well, let's work the system around them, You look at the Brazil team, it's always different, but they don't go, oh, well, we can't pick so-and-so because we need to change this, we need to change that. They just pick their 11 of the best players and say, right, let's work in and around this. And, I was watching them there the other day against Colombia, and they had Vinny Jr., and they had João Pedro, and they had Rafinha, and they had they had someone else up front. And I was trying to figure out as I was watching it, because I tuned in late. I was like, where are they playing them all? And there wasn't really any set position for them. They were just these 4 attacking players that were sort of given vague positions and told, you go do what you do. When we defend, fair enough, you go into such formation. But that's my thing, and it's always the same when people want a bit of war chest and Bertha and all these. I can't get excited about it, because Bertha could go out and have the greatest summer known to man, and Arteta would go, okay, now where am I going to fit Isak in, because Havertz has to play up front, So it won't make a difference. And people can say, oh yeah, you're pessimistic and you're negative, and all the Arteta fans will say that, but 5 years of failure does that to you. You know what I mean? 5 years of seeing the same team, and we'll go, someone was talking about, let's see what team, what team do you think will play against Madrid? And I said, any one of us could name it. Any one of us could name the 11 and be spot on, right? And any one of us could name the tactics he'll play and be spot on. That means Ancelotti
he makes when he makes them.
Yeah, and that means Ancelotti, he has no research to do. He'll just go, right, they can't play against a low block, hit them on the counter, and then, and they won't even play with a low block. They'll play with a low-ish block. But they'll know that, there's going to be no runners. We can play a high line if they want. There'll be no runners because we don't have them. And like if we can tell the exact team and the exact tactics and the exact everything, what's it like for opposition teams?
Yeah. And one of the best managers in the world. Do you know what I mean?
One of the best managers in the world.
5 seconds, is it, to figure out?
It really is. It's a man against a boy in those dugouts. That's what it is. It's a Don against a fucking pizza delivery boy. You know what I mean? It's completely like, it's so lopsided. And as I said before, if miracles we scrape through, it's not going to make a difference. We'll go out to Villa then or something. Like that's Arteta's script.
You know what?
And he's
being about Emery.
I'm going to keep it.
And that would be it. And Emery. Look, we're looking at that England team, like you said, and Bowen. I'd love to have a player like that, but again, he'd never sign him. Yeah. Kane would come in, and Kane likes to drop deep, which I suppose Arteta would like that, but he also likes to shoot from long range if there's nothing on. He likes to play a true ball. There'll be no runners for him. So to me, over the last sort of month or two, I've just been at that point where I'm going, we could get 3 of the best players in the world. It won't make a difference because the players aren't. Go on. Sorry. Sorry. I was just about to finish anyway, because to me, the players aren't the issue. I think that we have a really good squad. I think we have a really good squad. It's just that they're all being played out of position. They're all being shackled. They're all being run into the ground. And if you had a different manager, you look at that Liverpool team. People forget that Slot didn't sign. He signed Chiesa. That's it. And look at the song he got out of them. You know what I mean? So if we had got him in the summer, I guarantee you we'd be top of the league, and Liverpool wouldn't. With the exact same squads.
Yes, because he would have just made tweaks. He would have just made tweaks.
I was on the stream before I came on to Aaron's, and I said I'm just as worried in the summer because this guy's going to have more money which he's had a pot full of money already. He's going to have more money, and you could have the best 11 in the world lined up with this guy. And to me, he's reached his ceiling. He's not good enough. He's not good enough to get Arsenal over the line with no matter what player he has in an Arsenal shirt. He's had plenty of time to prove himself. He's had all the money to prove himself. He's run out of excuses now. It's excuse after excuse after excuse. You know, apparently, you know, the other one that's doing the rounds now is that he's not been backed by the board. You know, well, I didn't hear anyone complaining about the board when we finished 2 points behind Man City last season. So, you know, the same. And I can't understand. I cannot understand how this guy gets away with excuses after excuse after excuse after excuse. You know, it's the Arsenal partnership. Look, Rice to Kane 2-0.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you wouldn't mind,
yeah. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's in charge, what players we've got. I just don't want him to have any. I don't want him to be in position next season. And I know I'm going to get problems for it. And I know people are going to say you're negative and everything else. I'm watching it with my own eyes. I'm looking at the facts. I'm looking how I come out the stadium. I'm looking at what I'm watching. I don't want to upset anyone. I'm just looking at what I'm watching. And I've watched a lot of Arsenal over the years. And no, he just doesn't do it for me, man. Just doesn't do it for me. The players he's going to sign, are going to be players how he wants to play, and it's not. And if he's not willing to change the way he plays, if he's not willing to play his style of football and change it, we're going to be back here again next season, guys.
100%. Yeah, 100%, mate. I said this, and I think we all know this anyway. If we have another summer with a Mikel Merino-esque style player coming in and a Calafiori, both of which are overpriced, now overpaid, and nowhere near good enough, by the way, and you get a Sterling, that is just, I mean, whatever. I'm not even going to carry on with that. We all know what a car crash that bloke's been. We will go right down. We cannot afford another summer like that. If we sign 3 inept players like we have this summer, and, you know, everyone says about Calafiori might come good. We ain't got time to wait for Calafiori to come good. I'm sorry. We just ain't got the time. Mikel Merino's, 28, 29 now? We ain't got time for you to come in and have 3 years to justify your price and wage, in which by then you'll be finished anyway. We just can't do that in Sterling. You know, I know it's, you know, it's a loan signing or whatever, but we've needed him this year massively, considering all the injuries and things like that we've had. And it's just been an absolute disaster. Like, it's worse. I didn't think we would sign a worse player than Willian. And we did tenfold. He's just been absolutely.
He also, but Aaron, he's also never gotten a chance to play, or he never played when you needed him. So there was a game recently, I don't remember which one it was, where the camera kept panning to Sterling. He was sitting on the bench, and your wingers weren't doing anything, and he's not even trying to bring players on. So when the players coming on, he's literally sat on the bench for like 2 months or 1 month, whatever it is. And then you expect him to just go at the age of 29, 30, whatever it is, to just come and impact.
But these players
I know he's been poor, so I'm not justifying him being poor, but at the same time...
I do get what you're saying, but do you know what I mean? There's a lot of players that come, and that's why you've got a squad. You know, you look at the Invincible. I know we're talking different generations. You look at the Invincible squad, yeah. Ray Parlour would sit on that bench because he knows he's not coming over for Freddie Ljungberg, especially in the 2002. You know, he was absolutely on fire, Freddie Ljungberg. You know, he'd come on though, and he'd give you an 8 out of 10 performance every time, like Eddie would. If Gilberto Silva or Patrick Vieira had come off, they'd come in with minimal games. They come in and done a job. Raheem Sterling, you know, you expect to come in and be able to beat a player at 29 years old still as a winger. He's petrified. He gets the ball and he don't know whether to pass to someone, which usually ends up being backwards. He's petrified of beating a geezer. You know, I get what you're saying, and I didn't expect him to sit on the bench and come on and score double figures in the league this season. But I did not expect him to be 1 out of 10. On average across all of his performances. He's been nowhere near good enough. I'm just going to come to the chat just quick before we continue this. Big up Rich as well, Aaron DJB panel. Yeah, big up, man. I can see it being Sesko. Sadly, me too, because it fits the stubborn, smug prick Arteta. Yeah, it would tell him the process and made up all the phase and all the numbers and all of that. Yeah, for me, it has to be Isaac or Gyökeres. Yeah, listen, I totally agree with you. I really doubt the Isaac one, if I'm being totally honest with you. I think the battle should be with Gyökeres and the Seskos, and I'd love a Kane. To be fair, I really would. I'd absolutely love it if Kane went there, and I'm sure every single person that put a red and white top on would as well. And it makes a statement. It makes a statement that Arsenal are back. That's fine. Release his clause. If Kane says, "Look, I don't want to do it to Tottenham," there's no gun to your head, mate. But you know what? You've gone out and tried doing the business. If he says no, release the Gyökeres clause. Release it and say, right, come on now. It's time to come to one of the big boys. Get that sort of done. Do you know what I mean? And then you got a bit of money left. I reckon Newcastle are going to want 130, 150 million. And as much as I'd love him, I just don't see it, my friend. But big up, man. And big up as well to the Godfather, Jezza. How are you doing, my friend? Always good to see you, just as well as Luca. How you doing, my friend? Yeah, Kane 2-0. Yeah, like DJB said, we want that to be the future partnership that scores and assists, wouldn't it? That'd be absolutely nice. I'm sure you'd love that, you Spurs fans, wouldn't you? Everyone with Kane 9 with a red and white jersey. Cool.
Yeah,
that would just
that'll get you 63 million alone. All these fans buying the shirt.
I'll tell you what, mate. I'll be buying some merch then. I can promise you that. I'll be buying some merch then. I'll be buying some Kane 9 merch.
It might be the K14. Kane 14.
Wouldn't that just be nice? I'll tell you what, you might have done me one up there. I think I would give him the number 14 shirt just to sort of double rub it.
I mean, Eddie and Ketty had it in it, so I think Kane might.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if Eddie can absolutely wash it, do you know what I mean? Then, Kane can definitely have it. Richardson, again, if we hadn't wasted money on Calafiora and Marino.
The only trouble is, Aaron, this, if we did sign Kane, this manager would play him centre midfield or something stupid like that. Do you know what I mean?
Like Poch. Remember when Poch played Neymar in DM? Remember when Poch played Neymar in DM at PSG?
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Wow.
You didn't know that? It was Messi at right wing at the age of like 31 or 32. And he won. Remember when there was the whole noise about them not trucking back because they had that front three of Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi. Messi, instead of giving him a free roll or leaving him in the 10, he was playing him at right wing, expecting him to track back. And then he was playing Neymar in DM just to accommodate Mbappe up front.
Mate, that's just ridiculous. I mean, here we go. Here's number 3. Who's got it? Eze.
So now he's I mean, just getting Eze. I would take Eze. I'd have taken Eze probably 2 seasons ago because I think Eze was really bang on it then. But again, I would have taken Eze. But Elise, I thought Elise would have been the perfect signing for Arsenal. He would have been brilliant back up for Saka. He would have pushed Saka for a starting 11. You wouldn't have missed Saka if Elise was in the team. See, this is what you need. You need a bench where when players get injured, you don't miss them.
Yeah.
All I'm saying now as an Arsenal fan, don't look at the starting 11. Look at what's on the bench. And then think to yourself, look at teams in the past. Just look at the players that are on the bench, and this is 5 years of Arteta's reign, and we've got players on the bench that would not even be considered to be in the Arsenal 11 of years have gone by. Would not even be considered. I think if you looked at one game, you look at the Arsenal bench. I think there was like 5 defenders on it.
Yeah, all left backs as well.
All left backs. Or centre midfield or central defenders that he bought and played at left back. You know what I mean? That tells you all you need to know is when you look at an Arsenal bench. If you go back and look at the last 3 or 4 games and look at the Arsenal bench, there you go.
Our bench: Neto, Tierney, White, Kivior, Zinchenko, Jorginho.
There you go.
Calafiori.
Yeah.
And then a Deji and Maneri.
What player is going to come off of that bench? I mean, don't get me wrong, Ben White, okay, Tierney, yeah. But what player can you look at there and go, hang on a minute, all right, when he's learning his trade, he can come off the bench, might be able to create something. But what player can you get off the bench there to absolutely turn the game on its head?
Most of these players are not going to be available. Or, I mean, they're going to be sold.
Madness.
So that's half your bench, or most of your bench is gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And Guarnieri's 17, like he's 17, and he's our great hope.
Tierney's going to go for absolutely nothing. Sinchenko is probably going to go, right? Jorginho's going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Butler, he doesn't even trust him. When we're even 7-1 up, he wouldn't even give him a run out.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah,
7-1 up,
even at half time.
This guy's not even getting on it.
At 9-3 an aggregate at half time. He still didn't even bring him on.
Yeah.
When are you going to get a fucking chance?
There you go, right? So we're absolutely battering a team, and this guy can't even get off the bench. So what gives him? How is he good enough to make the bench if he's not even trusted to come off it when we're 7-1 up?
Yeah.
And you know what? On top of that, DJB, when he's not bringing him on, he's also leaving on 3 forward players when we're absolutely ravaged up front, and they could do with a rest. You know what I mean? So it's a twofold idiotic mistake from Arteta.
Exactly. And again, he, when we were 7-1 up against PSV, he played Rice nearly for 90 minutes in the second leg. No reason.
Yeah.
No reason.
Exactly. Why did he play Gabriel the old game?
Yeah.
Like, he's just the worst in-game tactical manager I have ever seen. Period. He's the
worst manager I've ever seen.
It's madness. Like DJB was saying, if you're not going to give anyone a chance at 9-3 up with 45 minutes to go, when are you? You know, why is Rice on that field? You can make 5 subs in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I mean, just get them off then. Who cares if you lose that game 6-2? Who cares? Do you know what I mean?
See, I said that to you. Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry, Aaron, go on.
No, go on. You jump in, mate.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, no, I was saying that to you before, though, when we were discussing it, that we were saying, so what if you lose 2-1 or 3-1? You're going through, give Rice a rest, give Gabriel a rest. But he wants that not to lose that game so he can say, oh, we're unbeaten in 8 Champions League games, or, that's all for his press conferences, and that's all for his stupid little, the stuff he feeds the Arteta sexuals, the stuff that he said, like the calendar year nonsense and all that. That's all that is. And we like Rice got booked in that game. If he gets booked now in the first leg against Madrid, he misses the second leg.
It's
absolute insanity. It's insanity. And it's all for him. It's all for him to say we're unbeaten in 8 games, or we didn't lose that game, or he can roll out his stats and stuff like that. Where someone like Guardiola would have made 11 changes, let the team lose 3-1, and move on and give them all a week off. But not him, man.
Exactly right.
So me, I don't agree on one of the chats that I've just seen from Boy Tendo. I think it's on where is it? It's 9:21. One of the reasons we didn't get Olise or another right wing backup is surely down to keeping a path clear of for Nwaneri. Now I think Ethan is a 10, not a right winger. He can play on the right.
Big up as well, boys. And I always hear you in DP's chat. Big up, man.
Getting back to that point, yes, here, Nwaneri was another one of Arteta's default players. The only reason why Nwaneri had got a chance was because Odegaard was injured and Saka was injured.
Otherwise, but remember when Odegaard was injured, he never played him. Remember, because I go on Northside channel all the time.
But then when Saka got injured, he plays him. A lot of the players he discovered is by default. He's not actually scouted them and watched them and everything. If he knew Skelly was that good, why on earth did he go and spend all that money on left backs?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Exactly, this is what I'm saying.
He played him at left back because he's left-footed.
Ben White was a default.
Ben White was right back by
default. He bought him as a centre half, and he had to play him right back by default.
And he couldn't cut it.
Yeah.
Kai Havertz is a rookie forward by default. Yeah. The injury to Jesus and such like. A lot of these players, he stumbles across in position.
Declan Rice in the 8.
Yeah, Declan Rice
The only
You know,
reason he was
and-
convenient when that
and this
Declan
is
Rice
the
was
problem with
because
this
Partey was
manager.
injured all of last year. He was injured all of last season, so Declan
Yeah.
Rice was playing in his actual position because Thomas Partey was missing for 80-90% of that. People forget that. Everyone seems to think
he
he was
was
playing
injured
at
all
left
last
8 the whole
season,
time. He was only there when Thomas Partey came back a little bit fit, and he thought, oh wow, I've got two players here. But he wouldn't change the formation to suit them two players. He just carried on with that
But
same
that's always
formation
been my
and
issue.
put one of them out wide and Declan Rice in left 8. And he's just not a left 8.
And he's one player that should get an extension for me. Thomas Partey. Don't matter who we bring in, he should get a year's extension.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It's given Jorginho's extensions, then by rights, Partey has been one of our most consistent players this season, and that guy should get a year's extension because he'd be an ideal player as a squad player on the bench. You know, if we did sign Zubimendi or someone like that, I still think you need a Thomas Partey in the squad.
Yeah. Well, this is a really good point. I'll come back to that Thomas Partey in a little bit, but boy Turner, Arteta's biggest failing is that he can't show players the same faith he was shown as a novice manager. How mad is that? Do you know what I mean? That's actually hits a nail right on the head there. You know what I mean? And the only it's absolute fact. It's one of the better comments I've seen in a long time, to be fair. And like, I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that from you, mate. So thank you very much. That's mine from now on. But now, one of the things as well, everyone was saying about this, he stumbles over the line with when we had Saka and ESR coming through. He didn't choose them because he saw something in them. He chose them because he absolutely had to. Mars Lewis Skelly coming in and he from Neri. Like, was it Yas that was saying when Odegaard was injured, he didn't want to have none of him. It was only when Saka, I know Odegaard got injured, where he was like, oh, wow, we've got to actually play this kid now. He didn't want to. Like, he takes the credit for it. Same with the MLS and about the position changes and things like that. He takes all the credit for that. All of these players are only when his back's totally against the wall, when he's cornered in said wall, and he has to do something. He ain't no tactical genius.
But you know what you hear?
He's an imbecile.
The top gooners will tell you he's easing in them into the squad, but he's not. He's just being so not lucky. But it's like he has to go down to the bare bones, and then it's just
he's
like,
back to the wall.
How about you just come on? You know, you just come on and see what you can do, and then you can see that the player can do something. But then there's no, because remember, Ethan was playing well in the games that he started to play in when he finally was given a chance. But then there was nothing to build on, so he wasn't getting a bit of minutes after that. It was just you stay on the bench and then you don't hear from him again until Saka got injured, and then it was like we need someone to play there. Who are going to play there? And then it's last minute. My main issue with the managers has always been in recent times that it's more about, instead of playing the players to their strength, it's more about covering their weaknesses. Kind of get what I'm saying. It's more about we have to play this guy here to protect the left centre back who can't do this, and then you get it. It's all about doing that, and then you lose so much to the game. It's all about covering everyone's weaknesses instead of just playing in a way where it shows the player's strength. And yeah, man, it's just a lot of things that you keep hearing when it comes to the way they build the squad and that. And one of the things I recently heard about. Mr. Egal was telling us that we needed a couple. You guys needed backups. So in the summer, you need to buy backups. I think that's what I heard him say the other day.
What for this summer?
Yeah, so this summer. So basically, because you guys
for this summer.
Yeah, so basically, because you guys wait. So because you guys are selling Aaron, because you guys are selling Jorginho and all those players, he wants to buy. Obviously, you're going to sell those instead of buying ready-made players or top players and then putting the players you already got on the bench to be backups, which is the way you're supposed to do it.
Yes.
They're saying, well, replace the backups with backups. And I was like, what? Since when has that been something? You're supposed to just kind of delegate.
Improve the first 11 then, ever.
You always do the same.
He can't improve these backup players because his first 11 are dropping off the end of the cliff. Trossard and Martinelli are two examples. Martinelli's unrecognisable. He's unrecognisable from Unai Emery's days. I mean, man was playing as a centre forward, banging in 12, 14, 15 goals. He's a shadow of the player now, Martinelli.
Another example.
Martinelli 2 seasons ago, you you had every single club in for him. Even Jurgen
Got
Klopp
off your
was looking
seat,
at
didn't
him
you?
at Liverpool.
At the Emirates, do you remember that season when you was at the Emirates? Martinelli would get the ball, and you're almost at the edge of your seat, thinking something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Trossard in and out, not good enough. He's another player that's come from Brighton that was buzzing for Brighton. Brighton were gutted that he went. He can't play now. You know, I mean,
he looks like he doesn't want to be there. I think with Trossard, he doesn't want to be there because
he wants to go to Saudi.
when he left Brighton, and he had the issue with Brighton, what he ended up doing was, because he didn't get his move, he got on the Eurostar, went to Belgium. He's one of those people that would just disappear. So what he's doing to you guys is literally he's disappearing, but on the pitch.
Yeah,
he hasn't gone to Belgium yet, but mentally he's in Belgium. He doesn't look anywhere near the player that you got when you first got.
I mean, the problem is we're going to have the top gooners come out with the stats that we've only conceded 266 goals or whatever the stat is. We've not conceded more than 2 goals in all this and all that. Okay, fine, cool. I ain't got a problem with that. That tells us that our defenders are doing a job, which they're paid to do. Not a problem with that. But listen, I'd rather than concede more goals and win trophies.
Yeah.
You know, them stats mean nothing to me when we're finishing a season trophyless again. You can have all the stats in the world. They mean nothing. I tell you what, you name me, you name me the in the last 10 years, the teams that have finished runners up or in the top 4 of the Premiership. You'd be struggling to name them.
Because the answer is, who gives a shit?
Exactly. You only remember the teams that win things. That's all you remember. You don't remember stats. In 2-3 years' time, you ain't going to say, "Hey, do you remember that great Arsenal team that only conceded 266 goals? Do you remember that Arsenal team that went all them games and didn't concede more than 2 goals?" No one's going to remember that stat. But what you will remember, do you remember that? Do you remember the Invincibles? Everyone remembers them, but you ain't going to remember stats like, "Oh, they've only conceded 2 goals in the last so many years." It just pisses me off. Honestly, it really does.
Arsene Wenger used to say, like, when you're 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go, he'd rather go for it and lose 2 or 3-0 than just lose 1-0. You may as well go for it. I was watching on YouTube yesterday, actually. It was highlights of 2007. Arsenal were away to Bolton, one of our bogey teams. It was pissing of rain, 2-0 down to 10 men. And Arsenal came back to win 3-2. Fabregas got the winner. And this was the Arsenal team that was apparently spineless, like, you know what I mean? But Wenger just went, we're 2-0 down, we're down to 10 men. We may as well go for it. You just don't know, you know what I mean? You score 1, they start to doubt themselves. But Arteta would just lock up and say, right, we'll just lose 2-0. You know what I mean? And that's just a loser mentality. That's, you know, it's like Yasser said about the players, where he just tries to cover their weakness instead of going for their strengths. You know, it's defend first. And win second, but that's it. And you know, Aaron and DJB made points there earlier that sort of linked up, and you're saying about the playing them out of position, and you were saying and about the kids being brought in, you know, when their backs to the wall. And if you look at the poor kids, the main ones, when they first came in, he played them all out of position. Lewis Skelly's playing at left back, he's the central midfielder. Wanyeri's at number 10, he plays him at the wing. When Saka first came in, he played him at left back.
Yeah,
when
that's a great point. Yeah.
But you know what I mean. And when Emil Smith-Rowe came in, he played him at the left at first instead of 10. You know what I mean. So even when he does, his back is to the wall, he still refuses to play them in a natural position. He still has to make it about him. I brought it up before when he came out after Skelly was, I think it was the City game, and everybody was talking about him, and he just went, "Oh yeah, I saw him in one training session and saw him as a left back." That to me, I was enraged because Hale End had put about 11 years into that kid. They'd matured him, they brought him through, they taught him his trade, they'd done all this work, and him with his narcissistic behaviour just went, "Oh, thanks, boys, you know, I'm here now." You know, and he took credit for him. After having him in training for 6 months or something like that. And you didn't see him as a left back. You were stuck for left backs. You saw he had a left foot and you put him at left back.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, he stuck his little pigeon chest out like that, didn't he? And said, "Yeah, you know, I see it after one day. I did, yeah." So
I'm here now.
Danny Dyer, put your big boy pants on a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Because you ain't selling me, mate. Absolute pillock.
So this is the thing as well, Aaron. Yeah, look at it like this. You've always needed a left 8. Miles Skelly's a left 8. So why not put a normal left back at left back? I don't
Zinchenko's
know
a
if it's
left back,
Calafiori or
mate.
something,
Long-
and then put the
Tierney.
guy who's a bit more
Tierney.
attacking but can't defend on left wing because Martinelli's not performing, like a Calafiori. So you're still playing Miles Lewis-Kelly in his position, getting what you need to get. I understand now he's playing him and he's inverting, so he's still kind of playing around that position, but it's not the same. Inverting is not the
No.
same as actually playing in that position. But he could be playing some of the left backs that you guys think are more attacking or better attacking.
four
Or
on the
left
bench.
wing. Play him
Mate.
at left wing and maybe you get a different outlet, or maybe because they're left footed, they might cross the ball in or something. Do you get what I'm saying? You get something different out. And he's
Mate.
just putting someone that can't do anything on the left, putting the guy who can't defend that left back and he's getting exposed. I mean, it just sometimes you just look at it and it doesn't make sense at all.
They're all out of position, apart from the goalie, yes, and the two centre backs. They're all out of position, mate. Every
Well,
single
yes,
one of them.
you just,
Yeah,
you
but
just
this is what I said.
transformed into an Arsenal fan there. You just got a taste of what it's like. You could see him trying to figure
But I had the same thing.
what
But I had the same thing. It doesn't work for me.
We go through that every day, mate. Every day we go through that. Every
but
day
this is
we
the
look
thing.
at the
I
team and
went
go,
through
what is he doing?
No, but this is the thing. I went through this last season with Poch, where I was seeing
Yeah,
our
I
left
remember,
centre
yeah.
back
Yeah.
playing at left
did.
back, which Colwell. We saw Chilwell play at left wing. We see Gallagher playing the 10.
What
You
was
know what I
that
mean?
all
And it's
about,
like,
by the
okay,
way,
cool.
man?
I'm seeing a player who's slightly limited going forward, playing forward and breaking down our attacks. And then you're putting Enzo, who had a hernia, or he had hernia, whatever. Put him in make him run around and play. He had Caicedo in his own in midfield. That's why we kept getting bypassed. So it's like I'm getting a bit of flashbacks from that, but it's like with Arsenal, every season there's something, right? So there's every season you're one player away, and then even if as a rival fan you tell someone, well, I don't think you win the league this season because you've already, if you haven't won it with X amount of points ahead, and you have no injuries, I don't think that can happen next season where you have no injuries. Because I've never been my club's never been a club where you get no injuries 2 seasons in a row. You kind of get what I'm getting at. You have to take the opportunity being at the top, whether it's just one league title or whatever it is. Then you get to the second season, you kind of still don't have any injuries, and then you end up not winning it. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, if you now haven't won it, I don't think you win it the third season. And what gives, for example, a rival fan a bit of confidence to say that from the beginning is when you get to the summer, when I got to that summer window and I saw it took, I think, was it a month that it took to sign Calafiori?
Oh, yeah.
Because that was one of the first things I've ever seen. I was like, what?
It was 4 or 5 weeks for that, bruv. And then it took us about 6 weeks to sign Mikel Merino with 1 year left on his deal. He said for the 3 months that he only wants to come to Arsenal. Real Sociedad said he's going to Arsenal. And it still took us 6 weeks to get that over the line. It's carrier pigeon negotiations.
And this is where Berta's going to come in. And I think I hope and I pray that them two clash. And I hope that and I pray that him and Berta don't get on at all, because he's going to have a real big shock, Arteta. He's going to have a real big shock. Yeah. And I personally think that he wasn't given any money in January. I think he was told categorically, you ain't getting nothing to spend until we employ a new sporting director. And I reckon the Watkins and all that was a load of old crap. I reckon that was a smoke screen just to get the Arsenal fans. Oh, we are trying. We weren't trying. It was never happening. This guy has had the money. He's wasted the money, and now the owners have gone, no more. We're getting our guy in. He's coming in. And this is what's going to happen from now.
The Watkins, DJB, the Watkins thing.
And I hope that he absolutely does not get on with this manager. And I hope that the manager goes, you know what, I can't work with him, and walks. I really do.
Yeah, that'd be the dream, DJ. That's the dream.
Yeah, when we go to the Watkins thing, I actually know a few people that work at Villa. Well, because I don't live too far from it. And the rumor that obviously was not started. Someone told Lee about the driver, whatever it was, that he said that's actually right. So it is right that you guys bidded it after the whole Duran thing was already done and dusted. And they basically approached them after it was done. Yeah. So they knew he was gone. But then if you think about it, he was the one that's available. Why don't you just go for the guy that's available? Why would you try to get the
easy.
guy?
It's like the old
Too
Isak
simple,
thing.
mate.
I personally don't think he's going anywhere, Isak. I think he's staying at Newcastle for at least another season. I don't think he's going absolutely anywhere, Isak.
Yeah.
So all this about, we're linked with Isak. I mean, I turn on streams all the time and I'm listening to all these streams now and I'm just sick and tired of it. Let's get real. This Isak ain't coming to Arsenal.
No.
Get it out of your heads. Why would Isak come to Arsenal when we've won F4 in the last 5 seasons and you've got a manager that hasn't signed a decent striker in the 5 years he's been there?
Why
is he suddenly going to rock up?
There's only one reason.
Why is he going to rock up at Arsenal? And people say Champions League. Well, you know, there's other clubs going to get Champions League football. If Liverpool put in a powerful enough bid for Isak, that's where he'll probably end up more than Arsenal.
Yeah,
but the
then we'll get Nunez.
Yeah, I'll go quickly before you go, Aaron. There's only one reason I think he will go to Arsenal, and that's just to go with that rumor that's always been that. I think I told Aaron this before. Where you remember they always said that he plays like Henry and the whole thing that they used to say. Remember he plays similar to him, whatever it is. Unless he wants to kind of continue that story and be at Arsenal and knowing that they need a striker and do that thing, or he's going to get paid much more and he wants to play for Arsenal, whatever. Because we don't always know who their boyhood club is or the club they like. If that's the way, that's the only way. Or he gets manipulated by Arteta like he done to some of the other players.
There's no world-class striker out there. There's not a world-class striker, a world-class forward player that's sitting at home going, I really want to work under Mikel Arteta. There's not one of them that's thinking that. You know what I mean? Why would they think, oh, yeah, I want to play under this manager who prioritises tracking back over goal scoring?
The only world-class striker we may get, as I said, take the Spurs connection away from Harry Kane. Harry Kane's coming to sort of the latter part of his career. You know, he's the sort of striker that might fit the bill. Coming to the end of his career, boiled club, wants to get back in the Premiership to give Alan Shearer's record a go. You know, that's the only kind of striker that. But any striker in their early 20s that are banging in goals for fun, I don't think Arsenal are the first priority. And I think it's crazy that a lot of our fans think that we have this divine right, just because we're Arsenal living off the past, to sign every Tom, Dick and Harry that comes available.
Yeah,
we haven't done nothing in 20 odd years. What gives us the right that we're going to sign these top strikers? We ain't done fuck all.
You know what? Again, you know, me and you already sort of said about the Harry Kane thing, and you know, I'd absolutely love it when you sort of look at that and into the Harry Kane thing a little bit more, and you deep it a little bit more. So he's going to be at Bayern for his second season, this year. You know, he's probably going to win a league title there this season, and actually something for the first time in his career. That might just enough in itself be enough for him to go, right, look, I'm a league champion now. You know, I do want to have a little look at that Alan Shearer record. If he goes back to Tottenham, and I mean, it is a dig at Spurs, but it's not a purposeful one. If he goes back at Tottenham, he's not winning anything else. That's his career absolutely finished. The only accolade he'll still have a chance to win is that Alan Shearer's record. If he goes back to Spurs for the twilight of his career, and what's he, 31, 32? He's still got 3 years left in him in the Premier League, I believe, absolutely. Because Harry Kane doesn't rely on pace. He never really has done. He's got a fantastic football brain, and he obviously knows where the goal is. So he can still go for 3 years. I'd rule Tottenham out or return to Spurs instantaneously. Because, like I said, he just knows that's his career finished in terms of winning any more trophies. Now, you sort of look and you think, all right, where would he go? Maybe, you know, to keep that sort of Arsenal thing away, maybe, or even the London thing, maybe he might go to, you know, a Manchester United, which I of course, wouldn't want. That sort of would be one of the last things I want, because that would turn him into
a bit. Chelsea. He could end up at Chelsea.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
what about Liverpool?
I don't think he'll go there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I look at Harry Kane and I sort of do look at I sort of more look at Man United for some reason. I don't know. Obviously, Man City they don't need him. You know, and then there's when you say about Liverpool, well, you know, I don't know anything. You might want to go there. I don't know.
Yeah, Liverpool just don't get all the players. That's the thing about Liverpool. They wouldn't go. They like to do the whole data-driven thing. So they would end up buying someone that's young, like the Darwin Núñez or another kind of Darwin Núñez or another striker, unless they end up going for Isak. But then the Isak thing for them depends on what happens to Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Trent.
Yeah.
Because that's basically part of the spine
100%.
gun, and then
Yeah.
that might be where a lot of players look and say, well, you might never replace the same level of players. You get it with Liverpool not liking to spend money and stuff, so they might not actually replace them with similar level of players. So there might be a little doubt about Liverpool in that way. So some players might think, ooh, so there might not be another. We might not continue winning the way they've just won, if that kind of makes sense, with them losing their 3 players.
Yeah.
It's just an idea. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Remember, there's also Barcelona around. They want to try and get. They're looking for Isak and some other players and Gyökeres because remember Lewandowski's getting old.
You still want about?
Yeah, because remember,
I think his next move would be England for that goal scoring record. Though.
I think he's trying to still prove something in the league. Like I've not prove something, but I think he might want to still kind of complete that Premier League thing and say he's done something in the Premier League. Yeah. I
get what you're saying as well with the boss thing, but I reckon his next move, he knows he wants.
No, I'm just saying that I'm just saying that they potentially are looking at strikers as well because of Lewandowski starting to age a little bit, so they might start look at the next striker to kind of fill up that position, and they also kind of got a younger squad as well. So
I mean, they'll definitely probably be in for him. I mean, if Harry Kane's available for 65 million, I'd be gobsmacked if there weren't a lot of people in for him.
Getting back to the Isak thing, they're going to want 120, 130 plus mil.
So they told us 150.
What worries me is we need more than a striker to strengthen this team.
Yes.
Now, if we put all our eggs in one basket and sign another, and waste all the money on one player, we've still got other areas of the team that we need to improve on. We need another central midfield. We need cover. We still need the left-hand side still needs sorting out. We still need a decent replacement for Saliba or Gabriel. So if we go and spend all that money on Isak, then I don't think it's just the one striker we need. I think we're 5 or 6 players short.
Yeah, so I agree with it too. There's that Jonathan David who's available for a free. I reckon he's a fantastic punt on a free transfer. And
he's a brilliant player.
If it don't work, sell him for 20, 30 million in the summer. Do you know what I mean? The following summer, but these are the opportunistic signings Arsenal never make, do they? You know what I mean? It's frustrating. I think that I mean, for me, if you're talking about likeliness of strikers we're going to go for, I reckon there's only going to be 2 strikers we'll be realistically in for, and unfortunately one of them is called Benjamin Sesko, who I absolutely do not want. But I think the other one, and who I'd choose out of the realistic pool of strikers, taking Harry Kane out of that because he might not want to come to Arsenal, would be Victor Gyökeres. And with that, all right, you've got your outlay of 80 odd million, but just like what sort of DJB says, and Yas was saying, it's somewhere between 120 and 150 million. That's all well and good spend on that, Isaac. I'd love us to do that, but I reckon it cripples us a lot. And we'll probably heavily rely on sales. And because we're so bad at selling anyway, clubs will be either not buying the players or trying to pull our pants down. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how bad we have been at selling. I just think if we was to go get Gyökeres, and let's say if this was me, June the 1st, the summer transfer window opens. Here goes Sporting Lisbon. There's 80 odd million. Get Gyökeres in the door. Do you want to come? Yes, you do. Here's your contract. That's that done. And then you've got, so many other opportunities. Go get that Jonathan David. And all of a sudden, Arsenal's now got 2 strikers. They've got a good backup. But I don't think they'll go for Jonathan David because they'll probably go on, we got Kai Havertz, who's an absolute and that's the only annoying thing about it. It's a frustrating one, but that's how I'd sort of play the summer. But we've sort of seen Arsenal in this transfer window. And as we've sort of said already, it took us a collected 2.5 months to sign Calafiori and Mikel Merino, and they both wanted to come to Arsenal from minute one. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of work to do, isn't there, boys?
And the thing is as well, though, Aaron, I mean, it's true what you're saying, but there is a lot of work to be done. But another thing that worries me with a manager, and I don't know what the listeners and the panel think about this, is because he stuck his neck out on Havertz and paid £65 million for it. I think he's looking for someone to come in to rotate with Havertz because I still think he wants to justify the Havertz signing, and he's absolutely obsessed by Havertz. So this is why I think he's going to go and get Sesko, because he knows he can then rotate him with Havertz or play him alongside Havertz and still keep Havertz in the team. I cannot see this manager dropping Havertz onto the bench and using him as a squad player. So
No,
I think he will be looking. I think he'll be looking for the type of player that he can still justify spending £65 million on Havertz. He's obsessed by Havertz, and this is where I think the manager has fallen heavily on his sword with this signing.
Yeah, you're spot on there, DJB. Sorry, Aaron.
No.
But the Havertz thing, we've mentioned this before, that it's a narcissistic thing, that he's what will just play him until he proves that it was a good boy, which he never will be. He's not good enough. But the thing that people are forgetting about Havertz is we're all talking about Saka's hamstring injury. Hold off on the contract. He mightn't come back the same player. Havertz was already bad, and he was the same injury. Imagine how bad he's going to be when he gets back. You know what I mean?
Give that a thought. You know that, yeah.
You know what I mean? People are forgetting that. Imagine him losing 20% of his pace. The chap's already like a dump truck. I mean, how slow is he going? He's going to go back in time. He's going to be that slow. You know what I mean? But people are forgetting about his injury. And he's going to sit there on 275. Are you going to go to a top team and go, do you want to sign Havertz? And they go, that mess. And you go, yeah. And they go, didn't he tear his hamstring as well? Yeah, no, you're all right. I mean, he is going to be, people are forgetting how bad he's going to be when he gets back.
Shane, listen to this. Listen to this. Yeah, just quickly. Sorry, DJB. Just one sec, really quickly. Do you know the wages that we've got to pay for the remainders of their contract to Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz? How much do you reckon it is? £80 million we still owe them if they see out their contracts. Them two.
Dear God.
One of them's injured until the end of the next season, and then one of them.
And the other one's Havertz.
November again.
But you know
80
what?
million from this day we still owe.
Do you know what? That leads me on to my next point. The problem is, the longer we stick with this manager, we're going to end up with players on huge wages. Yeah. The next manager's comes in has got to pick up a bucket load of mess. We're going to have players that we won't be able to get rid of because no one will want to buy them because of their wages. And this is the problem. If we don't do the right thing, I mean, I was saying this last summer, even bigger this summer, we've got to get rid of players. That's why I would get rid of your Trossards. If we got top dollar for Martinelli, I'd get rid of him. You know, and this is going to really upset a lot of Arsenal fans. Martin Odegaard, if we can get top dollar for him, I'd get rid of him. Yeah. And I would get absolute ballers into this club. Because we need top players in this club for the next three seasons. Because if we don't, all these players are just going to stagnate under this manager. They're going to be on 200 grand a week plus, and we'll never get rid of them. And the next manager comes in, he's going to have to pick up all the pieces, and we're going to have to start all over again, which we're doing anyway.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I mean. We're doing anyway. Like go on. Sorry, go on. Yes.
Sorry, for me, it's more, and I know it's going to sound so weird. You're doing a rebuild within a rebuild.
Yeah, I've been saying it all the time.
Because now if you look at it, I know that you said that you needed a few players, right? If you look at it, we looked at that bench earlier, or if they all go, you kind of need to replace not all of them, but in terms of you need to get backups or players that you need to get that need to be sitting on that bench. That's so many players that we've seen that might disappear, like a Neto who's on loan and all these Jorginhos and that. And even if you look at it, or Jorginho, I've had Jorginho at my club. And I know that he can still provide you guys something. All you need to do is put the legs around him. He had that issue with us. We had a Kante and Kovacic or something around him, and he can control that midfield for you. I know he's not as good as he was with us, but there's still something that you can get out of that player. But he seems to play like a Rice forward and leave Jorginho on his own, and then when he makes a mistake, it's all on him. We know that once he loses that ball in midfield, he's non-existent. If Jorginho slips or misplaces that pass or whatever it is, if he doesn't have the legs around him, he will not be. He's like stuck in quicksand. You know what I mean? He won't be able to get back. With the Havertz thing, when you guys signed Havertz, I did say this from the beginning. I said Arteta's gonna die on the Havertz sword. Because if you spend that amount of money on a Havertz, which is a player from a rival or whatever it is that we all know didn't perform really well at Chelsea either way. And then he kept playing him even though he wasn't playing well, and then he didn't play him in the 8. He played start. But the only thing left, if you buy Cisco, I don't know if you guys actually noticed this. Because remember, they don't really know what position he plays in. So they said he can play right wing, that failed. Left 8 failed. The false 9 up front failed. But remember, they used to say he can play second or shadow striker. So if you
Yeah.
buy Sesko, he might try doing that. The only
Yeah.
point left.
Done,
So
yeah.
this is the thing. So he's gonna try to do all that, and then that's probably when you reach to a level where it might not work out, and then he potentially gets sacked or whatever. And then, but then it's like, and every player that you bring in is gonna ask for more wages than Havertz. So you're not really improving. It's gonna end up being either the
It's a
player's
marker
not.
now, isn't it? A marker we didn't want.
Either the
or
player
need.
doesn't believe in himself to say, I am not going to be the backup to Havertz, I'm better than Havertz.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that means he's also going to ask for the money, or he's not going to come, or it's going to be, well, he likes Havertz either way, and then that still affects the dressing room. So even if a player comes in and he's better, like what we've seen with like a Trossard and a Martinelli, where
Yeah.
Trossard performs but he still gets benched, but Martinelli keeps playing even though he's in bad form, and that affects that player, and then sometimes it gets around the dressing room. So you get a player that's 60, 70 million or whatever it is, and then you don't play him because you want to keep playing Havertz. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mate,
And
it's
keeping
back
that manager as well. Sorry, Aaron. Yeah,
No, you're
keeping
good.
that manager as well. It's also affecting the club in a way where he's hurting the assets or the investment or whatever you want to call it. The players aren't worth as much anymore, not because they're not performing, but the type of injuries that they're getting.
Yeah.
A Saka
Yeah,
might
yeah,
not be
yeah.
worth 150 million pound, whatever it is anymore. He might be like a 40, 50 million pound if he doesn't come back the same. Havertz the same. So you might not even be able to sell them for an amount where then it keeps the club moving in terms
He'll
of
run out his contract, Havertz. There's
it
no
ruins
way.
the club.
He'll-
This is
he'll
the thing.
see out
It
of
ruins
contract,
the
that's
club
that.
then. Do you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Even in the future.
But whose
So-
fault is it? Look, before I get into that, Shane does
The
need to
manager.
shoot. I'll only be standing for about 5 or 10 minutes. If everyone needs to shoot, I'll stay with the chat. Let us know. But Shane needs to get out for the minute. Shane, where can we find you, bruv?
God bless, man.
Big up Shane.
Yeah, the usual over at my channel, Shane Gooner. Tomorrow I'll be doing the first proper part of the nostalgia in football. Was it actually better back in the day? I'll be covering the 1950s.
Nice.
And just seeing if, trying to sort of compare it to today to see if it really was better for people back then or if it's now. As always, I have my shorts and they're on Instagram. And I'll be on with you, Aaron, for the pre-Fulham match, isn't it? Pre-Fulham match, and I'll be on. I suppose these chats with you and stuff. If there's a spot for me during the weeks and stuff like that. So here's to the panel and everybody else. Talk to you later, guys.
Yeah, nice to
No,
be on
listen.
with you, Shane. All the best.
Appreciate you, Shane, man.
Big up
Cheers,
Shane.
lads.
Always nice to be with you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
absolute legend. Yeah. Don't forget as well, chat. Shane's link is in the title as well.
It's
So
still
pop
on
over there and make sure you go over and see some of his bits. I'm just going to take some bits from the chat as well because I haven't read a couple of the bits out and there's a couple of good little points in there. So bear with us. I always scroll a little bit too far up. Fortunately, Hendo, big up, man. He's saying, it will never come to Arsenal as long as Arteta is a manager. And I totally agree, mate. And one of the points is, and I think DJB might have made it, was I don't think anyone will really be coming to Arsenal as long as this prick's on there. Do you know what I mean? Can't click on the links in the title, Aaron. I thought they were clickable. Okay, I'll sort of go back and edit that, but I actually thought they were because I've done it on YouTube. Never mind. I digress. I'll go back. They're not clickable. They're not clickable. It's a little bit of a madness, It's just how we are. How are you doing, boy? Boy 10, and we need to sell Havertz, mate. He's an absolute poison to the club, and that's what Yas was just basically saying. And we all sort of know of it. We'll sort of come off of that point as well, and that we've handcuffed ourselves again. And Havertz is only just one of the examples. And I said as well with Gabriel Jesus, mate. You look at what we've done. We've absolutely handcuffed ourselves to the fact that we're going to be paying them to when Kai Havertz, I think, has got 2.5 years, and Jesus got 1.5. Maybe it's a year extra either. It's £80 million in sterling. We've still got to pay them when they see their contracts out, not if, because one, Gabriel Jesus ain't coming back till November. He ain't really going to be match fit until the winter transfer window, regardless. Who's going to be paying that for him fresh off of that injury? So we'll be there for another year. And the same with Havertz. No one's going to be paying any sort of form of money for these and nearly paying them to 300 grand a week. So there's another 80 million drain on the club. Thank you very much. AFC, big up, man. And this is another point as well. Let's not forget Villa tried to do us a favour in January for Watkins. They wanted 60 million for the geezer. I know that might have pivoted on the fact that whether they're going to sell Duran or not, and they ended up selling him. But we could have probably got in there first with Watkins, as I'm assuming the point that you're making, before they sold Duran. What did we do? We offered peanuts again, but I think it was DJB again that made the point that it was a bit of a smokescreen all the time. just to give us something to nibble on, you know, just to keep us a little bit entertained, you know, to make it look like they're doing some work when they actually weren't really doing anything. You know, that's how Arsenal is. Boyton as well, again, saying, yeah, please tell me people saying Havertz was on course for 25 goals, not over 3 seasons, mate, let alone in 1 season. I want to know what they're smoking. I know I want some of it because there's some good shit. Let's get that absolutely right. Victor, big up, mate. I think it's the first time I've seen you in the chat. Hello. Let's see what type of football fan you are. And I've gathered it already. Honestly, if we get an offer for Trossard and Martinelli, I'll just bin them. Yep. All right. Yep. Sweet. You've got a bit about you. Excellent, mate. And you're putting in again. I would be fuming if this club got rid of players and don't replace them with same or better quality. But listen, my friend, we've seen that over the last few sort of years. Do you know what I mean? You've got fans like a gal, you know, we're going, oh, yeah, you just need to replace the players like Jorginho. Nah, no, you don't. You need to be replacing the players like Odegaard and putting them on the bench. That's what you need to be doing. Like Yas said, it was a fantastic point when he was saying it earlier on in the chat. That's what levels you get. You don't get better by getting a better subs bench and replacing that subs bench. You get better by getting a better first team and bringing them down to a subs bench. It's not hard math, is it, people?
But I think the fans seem to be in love with that starting 11, and they want the manager and that specific starting 11 to do the job. They don't want anything else. No one off the bench. They want Martinelli to win a league title. Whatever happens, even if it's in the next 20 years. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
A lot of the fans think that top 4 is a trophy. Yeah. And as long as we get top 4, that's a trophy. That's fine. No problem at all.
You know, they're all saying as well, DJB, you know, they're like, oh, yeah, you know, top 2 is a success. And then they're telling me as well, I'm not going to name the person. They're telling them they got warrior mentality and they're saying second success. No, it ain't. That's a loser mentality because you haven't won. Second is not success. It just isn't. First place is the only trophy you get in England. And it's not like the Olympics where, you know, you get first, second and third, you get bronze, silver and gold. You know, that's a win in some sort of form or not. But you don't get a second place trophy. You do not get a third place trophy. And Arsene Wenger, for fuck's sake, you do not get a trophy for fourth. Do you know what I mean? It's second place. That's a loser mentality. I want first place or nada. You know what I mean? Boyton as well saying, you know, if we don't now, 5 of the 6 targets in the transfer window, we're going to move backwards. Agreed. Yeah. Unless Waneri and MLS are so good that they are in the same discussions as Jamal. Listen, on the first point that, just get a quick in the first bit that you said there about the 5 or 6 transfers, we've made 31 under Mikel Arteta, my friend. 31 transfers. I could probably only name about 5 at push, 6 of them that are any good. That means that them 6 transfers that you'd like, buddy, probably mathematically over the last 5 years on average, only 1 of them are going to be any good. And I know that's not what you're saying. You're right. We need 5 of that 6 to nail it. But this manager has not got the player identification. And now he has a proven track record of a half a decade, 5 years to tell us that. He's got that CV of crap signings. And this is what we're all saying. What we hope Berta comes in and changes. Because we absolutely desperately need to change it. We can't have another window of Zinchenko, Vieira and Gabriel Jesus. We can't have that again. We can't have another Calafiori, Mikel Merino and Sterling. We can't have another Kai Havertz window. We can't have another Tomiyasu window with Aaron Ramsdale window. You're going back to all the windows now, boys. Even the other one, you know, you got the winter window. Trossard weren't a bad signing, but that was coupled by the other 2, who? Kivior and Jorginho. Do you know what I mean? So that was only 33% that was any half decent. In that window, there's so many that we have not been able to maximise under his own words, people. It's just madness, yeah. And Victor saying Martin needs to leave Arsenal. He was shine under a better manager. Do you know what? I'm not going to put that past you, mate. Adele, big up, brother. How you doing, man? He's saying big up Aaron DJB and panel, big up chat. And make sure you do, people, like and subscribe. It massively helps the channel. Let's not forget that, man. It's madness how we're sort of going here as Arsenal fans. You know, we are desperate in this. But let me come into you with this, DJB. Yeah, do you think Berta, like, it is going to even be able to get half of what we need to do it? Because he's got 6 contracts to sign, he's got probably about 8 players to sell, and probably about 6 to bring in. That's a bloody busy transfer window, isn't it? I just can't see it all getting done. I can't even see a third of it getting done.
The thing is, what fans have got to realise, Berta's picked up an absolute car crash. He's picked up an absolute mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Edu reason why Edu walked out the door, we will find out in due course in the summer when he comes off his gardening leave. Because you've got to remember, we've still been playing Edu, millions of pounds. Yeah. We've still been playing Edu. See, fans all forget this. Yeah. We've been
Yeah.
paying Edu millions and millions of pounds while he's been lighting barbecues and helping Nottingham Forest. Do you know what I mean? He's been on gardening leave on full wages.
We've been paying
Barbecues every
Potter.
day,
DJB,
driving fancy cars.
we've been paying Potter until he went to West Ham.
Edu was like an Arteta. He was a novice. The only difference is Edu was a better player at Arsenal than Arteta.
Yeah.
But he was a novice. So you had two supply teachers working in the same classroom.
Yeah.
This is what we've come into. So what you've got to realise, Berta's now got to walk in. He's got contracts for Saliba to sort out. He's got contracts for Gabriel to sort out. He's got contracts for Saka to sort out. He's got contracts for all pretty much all the decent players at Arsenal, all the Kroenke's assets, the decent players at Arsenal, right? Then he's got to sort out signings to get us over the line. Yeah. So he's got so much work to do when he comes in. This ain't all going to be done in the summer, guys. This is not going to all be done in the summer. There's still going to be windows where this guy's going to need more time to sort things out. The only difference is with this Berta coming in is to sort out these problems, you've got someone experienced and not Edu. So you've got someone experienced to sort out contracts. You've got someone experienced that's not going to let players go for a bag of peanuts and going to get good money for if he does sell them. Because hopefully gone are the days now where Arsenal sell players for silly money. Well, hopefully we're going to get good money for them. So that's the only confidence that I've got, that there is someone in place now with a CV good enough to sort out the problems. But it ain't going to be done overnight. It's not all going to be done in the summer. It's going to take time. And the problem is with Arteta, he's been so used to getting his own way, and he's been so used of dictating the pace of signings, who he wants, etc., etc. This is where it could all break down, because Berta's got to do his work, and he's now got to be ruthless enough to do it. And this is where it's all going to clash with Arteta. So I mean, it's going to take time, guys. Everyone's getting excited that he's in place. I'm excited that he's in place because we've actually got a sporting director with experience.
Competent, yeah.
But I mean, the summer's going to come very, very quickly in football. The summer comes around very, very quickly in football. And the facts of the matter is, Aaron, is that it ain't all going to get done in the summer. I'm sorry. Yeah. I think you're going to have quite a shock to actually see the players we actually get in the summer. And all this talks about we're linked with this and we're linked with that one and we're linked with that one. Listen, I've supported Arsenal for 50 years. Until they run out with that red and white shirt on, mate, I don't follow or believe any idle chit-chat. You know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I am confident with Berta. And we will see what happens, matey.
He's got a CV, isn't he, though, DJB?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a bit of confidence with that. And that's why I think I said to you, it was on the Ludagunas thing, wasn't it, when I come on? I was like, do you know what? One of the better things about signing Berta is the fact that we didn't sign Mertesacker or Rizicki there.
Yeah.
I mean, God, if I'd have seen that announced, like Mertesacker jumping up there, I mean, like you're almost just resigned to an awful summer window, then, didn't you? You just put your hands up and go, "What's the even point?" At least with Berta, you've got that some bit of hope.
Yeah, but then you've got Arteta on the other coin would be able to control the Rizickis and the Mertesacker. He would still have the big influence over. With this guy, he's going to have a barrier. He's going to say, blah, 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 and Berta's going to go, hang on a minute. I don't think we should be going down that road. He's going to have challenges now. Yeah. And that's the thing. Even if Arteta does still get his own way, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenges for him, you know. And this is what we've needed, because I've said it all along. I've never known Arsenal to have one man bigger than the club, and Arteta for too many years now has been bigger than this football club, and that is a dangerous road to go down. When any man's bigger than a football club, that's dangerous. Not even Alex Ferguson, the great Alex Ferguson, was bigger than Man United.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when players tried to get...
And for some reason or other, this failed coach that went on a process 5 years ago that's won nothing, other than an FA Cup, which he inherited from the team he binned, is bigger than the football club. And this is where we're going wrong, guys. And this is what you've got to see. You've got.
I
You've got
can see. I can see a few problems coming up for Berta, and I don't know if you guys thought about this. I think that if Berta doesn't sign the players that you guys need and sort everything out, the top goons will get onto him to divert from Arteta.
Great point. Yes, so that's what will happen. They'll blame.
So what
Berta.
they'll say is that he didn't do what he.
Blaming the board now for saying that he never got the backup.
Yeah, because every time the manager feels it's someone else's fault, and then there's something else. Now the Berta guy comes in, so what they're doing is hyping him all the way up and telling you all the players that he's gotten and blah blah blah. But then if he doesn't do everything that they want him to do, then it's his fault and it's not Arteta's fault. And next year is the year that he might end up fixing it, and then they'll push that again. And I don't know. I agree with you in terms of there's a lot of things that are there that he needs to fix or he has to work on. Like you said, it's a big car crash that he's walking into. And that should be initially blamed on Arteta. So they should be looking at it in a way that he's been thrown in the deep end and he's basically having to fix the problems Arteta and Edu have left. If that's even, we don't necessarily know whose exact problem it was, whether it was Edu, whether it was Arteta, but we would just say, because they kept saying they're working together, we would say it's both of them. But he should be kind of given the leeway to build in terms of fixing his stuff. Now, you do want him to get the things that he needs to get sorted right in terms of him as an individual. So you still have standards or expectations from him as an individual. You're coming in from Atletico Madrid or whatever it is. These are the things that we need, and we expect you to do this. But there's also things that he might not be able to get done because of some of the things that are going on at the club and contracts. He might not be able to renew some of them, whatever the issues are that they have. And that shouldn't necessarily be on him, because those are the issues that have been kind of brought back from the previous people that were on there, and even Arteta. And I think that's something to kind of look out for. I think he will potentially be blamed for certain things when it doesn't go their way, because Arsenal, they don't always sign everything they need. So there'll be somewhere in some way you'll hear about an excuse of him not doing something. So we'll see what he does, though. We'll see what he does. Because remember, there's another thing I told you the other day. There's still that best friend relationship between Arteta and Josh. So knowing Arteta, he's probably just bypass that relationship and just go and speak to Josh.
That's not healthy.
So I think that's where in Finn, because you don't get an owner of a football club walk through a training ground and don't even find 5 minutes to speak to his manager. He didn't even say anything to his manager. So I think there's more into it.
That's what he said, wasn't it? That was what he was saying. That was sending that message, wasn't it? I think
the owners feel a little bit left down. They've trusted this man.
Yeah.
They've been he's talked the talk to them. He's been paid the £15 million a year. Arteta's been on £15 million a year. He is one of the highest paid managers in world football.
Second
highest paid manager in world football. And look at his trophy cabinet. So mad. I think the last time the owner came to and visited, he didn't say 2 words to the manager, blanked in completely. So I think this man's been brought in by the Cronkies, and I think he's been brought in to do a specific job, and that is to see what's gone on, sort out the mess, and report back to them immediately. And I made a bold statement that if things don't go well, the first part of next season, I made a bold statement that you might be seeing Arteta either getting the sack by Christmas.
Yep,
that's what I.
I think you said it on here, didn't you? I'm sure I was on with you when you said that.
That is my prediction. I might be wrong, but I think that you might see some big changes if things don't go right by Christmas next season.
Yeah. Well, listen, what way to wrap that up? We'll leave it closed there. But listen, man, people, don't forget as well, drop a like and subscribe on the video if you like what we're all saying. I will sort out the clickable links in the title. I thought they were there and then they'd sort of disappeared, but Yas told me they wasn't, so I will sort that out. As well, don't forget to follow Shane Gooner as well. Again, I will get that pinned in there. But also, don't forget to sub to Yas. What have you got coming up, my friend?
I got something going on. I'm probably gonna do a show this week with AJ, the Arsenal fan, and then obviously next week I'm gonna be doing a show with a couple Tottenham fans because of the Tottenham game coming up. So I need to sort that out. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we're gonna probably do that coming up. But yeah, man. Other than that, I've just kind of been taking a little break, and then just to kind of, you know what I mean, just to get match fit. You know what I mean? Just going on other channels and having a conversation and stuff like that, just to get match fit after my break, and then go back into it again. You know?
Yeah. No, well, listen, man. You know, bless up for giving me your time this evening, man. You know, I like having you on anyway, man. Sensible guy that can talk about football. I'm here for it, mate. I'm here for it. I enjoy talking a bit of ball. But yeah, DJB as well, man. It's been a bit of a busy day for you jumping on here.
It's been brilliant, and thank you very much. As I said, we all talk, we try and get the facts out, and yes, it's been a privilege to be on with you as well. I've got guys tune in to Jezzy's The Godfather's History channel tomorrow with me, Kenny Ken. It's going to be a good one tomorrow. Arsenal's best ever. 17 players we're going to choose from over the years. So there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some players left out that you're going to think, hey, why else have they left them out? But we do explain the reasons why. So no, that's going to be a big one tomorrow. And then you'll see me around various channels. Hopefully, I've not got anything of my own just yet, but who's to say that's not going to be one in the future? But no, big up, Aaron. Smash the likes, guys, and big up, Aaron. Thank you very much, my friend. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
The pleasure's all mine, you know that, DJB, and I'll look forward to the next time you boys are on. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday evening for all hour and 40 minutes of it left, people. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. I'll take her out.
Big up.